First photo of its kind in history. High detail.
Natural instinct to push all the other eggs out of the nest.
Down by police. That has happened in Woodland Hills, LA, and according
93 million.
I was sleeping, had to wake up. Why? Every reason I could think.
What's up, YouTube? Today, we'll be looking at disturbing TikToks that'll make you question reality. So without further ado, welcome to Adam Strain Reacts. Let's get her done.
General Electric, of all things, in 1947, they wanted to be number one in any category or number two, and they were falling behind in some of the categories because they were a conglomerate that did so many different things. They said there's only one way to become number one or number two. We have to recruit the CEOs of our competitors. And the only way we're going to be able to recruit them, because a lot of them are in their 40s and 50s, is to offer them something that they currently don't have, which was a pension. So they said, if you work for us and you can get us to number one and number two, and you can work for us for at least 7 years, we'll give you a pension for the rest of your life. The moment the person said yes, they bought life insurance on that person. And what would happen is they would use the cash value to supplement the pension, depending on how long they lived. But when that person died, the death benefit would come tax-free back to the company, replenishing all their spending plus a positive return.
What a brilliant strategy.
And that's what led me to find out this is what the Rockefellers have been doing for 6 generations.
These guys.
Wow. Sometimes I feel like we're out of the loop, you know? When you look at these systems and the way that they're implemented, it's very interesting to see how that also makes me think of a technique that I heard about recently. I've heard about things about using a trust to sort of take the individual out of the accounting, let's say. Well, there is an idea like this where you take out a life insurance towards yourself, and instead of asking for a loan for the bank with a percentage of interest, you could borrow against your life insurance, sorry. You could borrow against your life insurance, and that becomes non-deductible, and there's no interest rate being applied. So these types of systems and ways of gaming the system is something that's very well known for people on the higher echelons. And I find that we're lacking a bit of this economic literacy, because if you're going and take a loan to the bank while someone else takes a loan towards their life insurance, I mean, the difference is pretty big when you put that loan on 5, 10, 15 years. The amount that you pay in interest on a house, let's say, you almost pay double for the house. So the fact of not having interest on that is actually life-changing and allows you to not be late on your payments, because when you have interest, you're sort of late. It's time. You have to take more time, make more money just to pay back what you owe, and so that you could be up to date, you know? Anyways, long story short, very interesting system. Do you guys have any other economic systems like that you could game the system with? I'm all about it. If you send me a few videos, a few links, I'm going to do a deep dive and I'll put into the next video. So without further ado, let's keep on rocking.
Don't just look like snakes, they act like them too. This is the snake mimicking caterpillar. When threatened, they inflate the front part of their body, widening it into a fake hood, kind of like a tiny cobra. They also thrash, lunge, and sway to help sell the illusion. And the eyes, they may be the most convincing part. They're not just blobs, they're domed, glossy, and reflective. They're shaded with 3D depth, and in the right light, they cast a shadow like a real eyeball. These guys are one of the most accurate snake mimics on the entire planet. The more you know.
Curioso experimento, porque alguien te puede explicar que las burbujas puedan ser cuadradas. Pues esta persona va a hacer una burbuja cuadrada. Fíjate lo que hace. Es cuadrada la burbuja. ¿Cómo te queda? Burbujas cuadradas como cubos. Literal, fíjate.
The reason that there is such a void of male role models for young men is because we literally do not have adult males in our population anymore. What do I mean by that? There's no adult males. Like, there's grown men everywhere, but they're not actually physiologically adult human males. They're not. I'm going to teach you guys some fun shit. So in biology, there's this thing called neoteny. It's essentially an organism will retain juvenile traits as it ages if it doesn't get stressed out enough. Okay? If you live in an environment that's too, like, easy, you don't actually develop adult characteristics. I noticed this when I was in high school. I grew up in a very affluent area. And when we went to our grad night, it was at Disneyland. And we went with a bunch of inner city schools. And everyone I was with realized that all of these kids looked like adults. They looked so much older than us. And so, yeah, because they were in a more stressful environment, which caused their adrenal glands to upregulate, which caused higher testosterone levels, which made them literally adults. Made them adults in a way that we were still juvenile. Every organism has multiple phenotypes it can have. All right. Your phenotype's dictated by your genes, but what dictates which genes get expressed is your environment. The best example of this is pigs. So domesticated pigs, the pink ones that you all know and love, that's one phenotype. It's not even their healthy phenotype. You take a domesticated pig, you release it into the wild after 6.
It's kind of very interesting. I did realize that at one point in my life that there was some people that, you know, we were like 16 when we graduated, and I would see graduates from another place, and it's true, they did look like huge football players, and somehow we looked a bit, you know, younger. And to this day, I still find like there's never been a moment where, okay, now I'm an adult. Like, yeah, I handle, you know, taxes and all that stuff, but I mean, I still don't feel any different. It kind of makes sense in my mind what he's saying, that if you're not stressed enough, you might retain characteristics of something that's considered like not mature, not developed. Kind of makes sense. Do you guys agree with this? Do you guys identify with it? Or are you a manly man or a womanly woman? How do you feel about it? Let me know down below, and let's keep on rocking.
The phantom leaf experiment completely enraged scientists when they found out what they actually were doing. The leaf experiment was to show, when they cut a leaf in half, the energy actually still remains. And this was used to explain why 80% of people have phantom pains due to their amputations. But then scientists tried to reenact this same experiment, and they had no success. And they realized the only time they had success was when there was moisture left on the scanning plate. And they realized that they completely deceived us, and this whole thing is completely fake.
That's very interesting. I've seen a few videos like that where you see like localized rain. The thing that I'm going to say is that I find that in the past 5 to 10 years, I find that there's a lot of new meteorological phenomenons that are being named and attributed as if, oh, well, this has always been here. This is normal. But I feel like some of these things weren't normal before, like the intensity of the weather changes. Like, you know, I grew up in a place where you have 4 seasons, and it feels like the more time has went, the more they get intense. So it gets intense heat and also intense cold, and it's like it changes very drastically. I don't know if you guys see the same thing. I find that yeah, the weather has been changing these past couple of years. What do you guys think? Do you guys think it's all the same? Is it just the fact that we have more information coming from social media, or do you guys agree that there's a bit of a intensity to the weather compared to before? Let me know down below, and let's keep on rocking.
Yep, that bird just wiped out the whole nest. That's not even the worst part. Meet the cuckoo. Like most birds, they lay their eggs in a nest. The only difference is they don't lay their eggs in their own nest. Nope, they lay their eggs in other birds' nests. And they usually pick a bird whose eggs look a lot like theirs. That way it blends in. It's kind of genius. And then they just skedaddle and have that other bird feed and raise their baby. This is known as parasitic nesting. But it gets a lot worse than that. You see, when it's time for the cuckoo to lay its egg, instead, it'll wait 24 hours and keep it on the inside. This ensures that the cuckoo egg will hatch before any other egg. And when a cuckoo is born, they come stocked with the natural instinct to push all the other eggs out of the nest. It comes right out of the egg as the villain. That's impressive. And even if the other eggs do hatch, they'll push the chicks out. They take over the whole nest. That way, they get all the food, they grow up big and strong, so they can go and do it to another bird. Talk about a vicious cycle. And as always, follow for more facts.
Don't worry if you can't hear what I'm saying. I couldn't even hear myself. This is the loudest sound you could possibly conceive. And as it turns out, the cleanest. Now, the most amazing thing is that that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will actually rain. I told you. It's raining. That's unbelievable. Oh. NASA's playing God. It's making its own weather.
For years.
You know, stuff like that. I find it just shows how this place is ridiculous because on one hand they're going to tell you, oh, weather modification is absolutely not a thing, and then on the other hand they're going to tell you, oh, well, look at this, we made it rain. I mean, you have services that are selling you the service of making it rain in Dubai or whatever. So obviously it's a technology. But like you said, NASA's playing God. And I find that there's a lot of things like that that we're just not aware of. We're out of the loop for national security, for this, for that. But I do not agree and do not consent with playing with nature or playing with the weather, because I think that there's repercussions that we might not be aware of in the immediate present. And I would rather we not do that. And if we're stating consent, I would also, not consent for anything that has to do with cloning, anything that has to do, yeah, all that type of stuff. So what do you guys think about that? Do you guys think it's fine that we might be controlling the weather? Like this theoretically is by mistake because it's like the byproduct of the engine. But do you think that intentionally the government might be doing that? Let me know down below, and let's keep on wrecking.
I believe sound was just a physical phenomenon. Vibrations through a medium, measurable, predictable. But then I came across something that changed everything. The Tartarian Bell Towers, a lost civilization, an architecture of impossible precision. We thought they were just church bells until a 250-year-old recording was discovered, preserved on a wax cylinder, buried beneath a collapsed monastery in Eastern Europe. A recording that was never meant to be heard again. And when we analyzed it, the data made no sense. Frequencies appeared that don't exist in modern tuning systems. Oscillations extended beyond standard auditory perception. Decay patterns defied known acoustic laws. The harmonic overtones weren't random. They matched geometric structures found in sacred architecture, resonating at frequencies that align with bioelectric fields in the human body. This wasn't just a sound. This was a transmission. Modern science tells us that sound can affect the brain. It can synchronize neural activity, stimulate the vagus nerve, even alter gene expression. But this was something else. The Tartarians built these towers with frequencies engineered to interact with human biology. Their bells weren't just ringing. They were broadcasting structured resonance, potentially influencing consciousness itself. And then all of them were removed. The towers dismantled. The bells taken down. The recordings locked away. Why? What were they trying to erase? And if this is just one recording, how many more are out there?
I put that video in because I like the visuals and I like the storytelling. I like the association that they're making with the frequencies and with the effect that it might have on the human when it comes from the bells. It could also be the organs, it could also be the churches, it could also be all that kind of stuff. But one thing I want to say is that personally, I don't put any credibility to Neil deGrasse Tyson. And this was AI, so it was not Neil deGrasse Tyson. So if you believe what you just heard because of Neil deGrasse Tyson, just move along. But the reason why I put that in is because I find that it shows a parallel between the like either the Germans or either religion, Christianity. There's this emphasis on bells and on vibration that's very important, and I'm almost sure that there is something hidden there, that there is something that we're not being told. And yeah, let me know what you guys think down below, and let's keep on rocking.
This is a great example of why filmmaking will be completely overtaken by AI. This is someone showcasing what Photoshop can do in adding people to a scene using photos only and creating a movie scene using Photoshop. Look, they're going to write a prompt in here, taking these photos and just adding them into the scene. This is the beginnings of it. Very easy prompt to write in. Now they're in the scene. You can't distinguish that from reality. Now they're going to add another person in and create the actual scene, the movement, the action. And you can create audio, visual, and it's indistinguishable from real life. They're not going to need to go out and film on location. And look at this. They've just created a scene. The camera's panning around the room. It's perfect.
What looks like chaos.
Wow. I don't know how real that video was, but gee whiz. Photoshop is not even a video editing software. I suppose it was Premiere. But even at that, where, why would you have Hollywood studios anymore? So yeah, I think times are changing, and I think we're gonna see this control system change. It's not gonna disappear. It's just gonna change aspect. But very interesting. So now anyone could make a movie. So that means, I guess, all their programming with the things that they're trying to push in all these movies recently, I think that's all going to die out because people are going to be able to make their own movies, make their own versions of things, Very interesting. What do you guys think down below? Do you guys think that this is very bad for us, the fact that we're not going to have the creative aspect of it and that it's all going to be generated? Or do you guys think this is an advancement? It's going to make it more accessible, easier for people to be able to get their ideas on the screen? Let me know down below, and let's keep on rocking.
It's actually one of nature's most efficient systems. Ants work together using chemical signals called pheromones, scent trails that guide others to food or danger. When they find something too big to carry alone, hundreds join in, moving in sync through touch and smell cues. There's no leader. Their coordination comes from simple rules repeated by thousands, forming what scientists call swarm intelligence. That's how colonies dig underground cities, move food piece by piece, and thrive almost everywhere, straight from the fish tank.
I cannot be the only one that saw this and didn't think it was straight out of a movie. But it's not. It's actually bees in military training. Like, I'm not even joking. They began to realize that bees have a very good sense of smell. I mean, they have to smell pollen. So they began to vacuum up bees and they put them in this container. They dropped the container into the fridge to calm them down because they were kind of angry. This is kind of when it gets weird, but they have this little thing that pushes them into this little tube, and these tubes drop them in these pots. Still feels like this is a movie, but anyways, they began to feed them sugar water. But before this, they would actually release a gas into the area, because the gas they release is the smell of bombs. So they kept redoing the cycle of releasing gas and then feeding them sugar water, and releasing this gas and then feeding them sugar water. And one of the times they released the gas and its tongue began to go, because it was anticipating the sugar water that it was going to get. And at this point, these bees are ready for war. So all they gotta do is release it in an area that they think there's like landmines or something, and the bees will go flying around, and when they find a bomb, they'll go and start moving their tongue. One of the only creatures known to do this was dogs, but bees, they do it better than them. Other than that, thanks for watching and follow for more.
This is probably the strange.
So interesting. It amazes me how you're able to control another being and rewire its behaviors, habits, and actions. Let that sink in. Because we think we're so special as human beings, but what you just saw for the bee is very applicable to human beings, and they have been using that against us. So I know it seems like two different topics, but really think about it. If they're able to associate a smell with a taste or with a craving, how easy is that to be done with us? And because we're exposing ourselves to external signals all the time, so social media, TV, and all that, we're not even in control of the signals that we receive. So how easy would it be to put now it's sugar, but it could be like a certain flash rate, it could be a certain song, a certain color, a certain frequency. So every time you see some item like a potato, let's say, they put you these positive signals. Why wouldn't that leave you at the end of the movie craving a potato, right? So anyways, super interesting. I never thought that the military would be enlisting bees as their soldiers. But very interesting story. What do you guys think about this? Do you guys think that it's unethical? Do you guys think that it makes sense? Is it better, better to use bees than humans? Or do you guys think that we're taking away their free will? Are you afraid that that type of system might be applied to humans one day? Let me know down below, and let's keep on rocking.
Just yoga class in the animal kingdom. But these aren't monks, they're lemurs. Every morning they gather like this, sitting upright, arms wide open, almost as if they're absorbing some ancient energy. This ritual has been passed down for thousands of years, making these lemurs the real yoga masters.
Are successful in their example of being able to provide, as a poor country, the best medical care in the third world to the whole population, because it's an inclusionary system. It's not like we have here, where you have this huge bulk of the population, marginalized. But there, if everybody can have adequate medical care, if the schooling is adequate for all, and remember, Cuba has more doctors and more teachers per capita than any country in the world, and they have succeeded in these areas, and it's all state supported, which means people don't have to put money out for the medical care or for they of course pay the cost indirectly as a whole society, but they don't have to pay the bill in the hospital and so forth. And so that cannot be allowed to stand. It's a very bad example for the United States. So there is a very large mass of people out there who can look at Cuba and say, well, if they can do it, and on a per capita income of $2,000, $2,500 a year, where ours is $22,500 a year, what's wrong with our system? I mean, maybe we ought to consider an alternative.
That's why Nicaragua, Sandinista in Nicaragua had to be destroyed.
Exactly. They were a bad example, and that's why Grenada had to be destroyed, because any movement that comes to power with the idea of providing for all the people and of escaping the control of the United States and its economy, let's say the corporations and so forth, then that is bad news here in the United States in the upper circles of power.
Look at this strange thing.
Wow, very interesting. I'm not saying I condone socialism or communism or anything like that. But what I can say is that I've been to Cuba and I've already had a medical emergency in Cuba, and this was years before. But I do remember that it is a complete different world. I mean, the doctor was there, he was present, he was happy, he was helpful. I don't know how to explain it, but the system was so functional. And you need to think about this in an incentive type of way. Earlier I was talking about mental control. It's the same thing, because when you control what the person receives as a reward, you change what decisions they're going to make for their life. So when you have a place where you're not going to make more money being a doctor, but you're going to help people. So if you desire to help people and you desire to be a doctor, you will be a doctor, when money is not the incentive. So think about it fast. What was your experience the last time you went to a hospital? How was it done? What was the attitude? What did it seem like? What did you feel like? So all that comes from a system, and that system is monetized. So if every person that comes in is a potential profit, you're going to treat them very differently than, okay, I have my budget for the month. No matter who comes, I'll do what I can. It's a complete different outcome. And I'm telling you, the people that I met that were working in the hospital, they were loving it. They loved their job. This is where they wanted to be. Because if you're not making more money than the guy working as a chef, then you might as well go work as a chef if you want to be a chef. So taking out the monetary incentive really changes the whole pyramid of priorities, and your decisions change. So anyways, this is this very long point that I'm making, but I'm just saying, we consider these countries as being third world or as being lacking, but sometimes the basics are the most important. You might have the most luxurious things, but if you don't have health, what do you have? So anyways, that was my experience with Cuba. Do you guys have any experience with Cuba or Nicaragua or Grenada? Let me know down below, and let's keep on rocking.
Captured in this satellite time lapse. This is out
Ooh.
in Siberia.
Okay, it looks like something flesh eating.
You can see in this Cold War era spy satellite image that this chasm doesn't exist in 1965. And now it's a kilometer wide. This is called a thermokarst depression, and it's caused by thawing permafrost.
This, I assume, is the top layer sort of caving in as the bottom layer also melts.
Yeah, on these edges, the soil, the frozen soil is exposed to air, and that triggers landslides that sort of chip away at the edges. And one of those landslides revealed this incredibly old baby mammoth they called Yana, one of the best preserved ever found. There's also Luba and Chroma, who looks a bit sadder because she was discovered when a hunter saw a fox gnawing on her trunk. And what's crazy about this to me is the fox clearly found this trunk meat to be sort of edible, like it's that well preserved. And I even found some reports of humans trying mammoth meat, though they both said it tasted pretty bad. And you got to wonder if the permafrost can preserve a mammoth calf for tens of thousands of years. Could it also be preserving ancient bacteria and viruses? Is that something we should worry about? And that's the question that our latest full episode tackles. You can check it out on YouTube.
A photographer in Arizona.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I would really like to see, like, the way you saw that crevice sort of become bigger through the years was, it's something that you would never realize, just walking there, because you wouldn't see the difference. Maybe you'd see the difference 10 years later. But I would really like to have like a time lapse of the Earth. I'd be very curious to see how things have moved. I know they have the theories of Pangea and this and that, the Bering Strait. I get it. But I'm not talking about theories. I'm talking about, it'd be so interesting to see, the Earth evolve and change. I wonder what else has changed, Yeah. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. And let's keep on rocking.
I just captured what's now being called the greatest shot of all time. Renowned astrophotographer Andrew McCarthy sent his friend Gabriel Brown up in the sky for a very unique skydive that had to be timed perfectly. He watched from his laptop in anticipation. He knew it straight away that he had something absolutely amazing. The first photo of its kind in history. Capturing a skydiver with a sun in high detail 93 million miles behind him, perfectly crossing paths. A shot considered almost impossible, but he did it, and it's fantastic. They did it first try as well, which is even more amazing. And it's an amazing photo because we're in a world now where there's so many AI images, and it just hits so much harder that it's real and raw.
Dostoevsky warned us tolerance will reach such a level that intelligent people will be forbidden to think so as not to offend the imbeciles. And the prophet was right. We live in an age where thinking has become a crime, where the sensitivity of the fool is worth more than the clarity of the wise. Truth must now apologize, thought must walk on tiptoes, and he who dares to question it is silenced, labeled, and canceled. What they call tolerance is in truth the new name for cowardice. A society that protects stupidity is doomed to be ruled by it. Dostoevsky saw the abyss long before us, and he was right. The world won't be destroyed by the wicked, but the cowards who can't stand to hear someone think differently.
Researchers at Rice University have developed...
Wow, that hit hard. That hit really, really hard. That's amazing. Because really think about it. Look at all these platforms. Back in the days, we used to have like 3, 4, 5 companies that were media companies. They'd give you the news. So now we thought we would be safe because we have thousands and thousands of content creators, right? But you sort of realize that the incentives are being manipulated. So if you want the engagement, you're going to have to be repeating the signals that they send. And if you repeat the wrong set of signals, then you get the opposite result. So it's very, very easy to control what's allowed to be said, what's not allowed to be said. Like you said, the questioning of the fool has now became more important than the knowledge of the wise. It's very, very interesting and powerful words in these days. What do you guys think down below? Do you guys think that we've made it into the new era of information? Or do you guys think we're still lost? We're still flooded with too much information, and the right information is being blocked. What do you guys think down below? Let me know. And let's keep on rocking.
A necrobiotic spider gripper, or a dead spider machine that can pick up tiny odd-shaped things. See, instead of muscle, spiders use hydraulic pressure to extend their itsy-bitsy little spider limbs. Spiders' leg muscles can only flex their legs inwardly. So in order to extend them outward, they generate hydraulic pressure in their fused head thorax segment called the prosoma. And that hydraulic pressure pushes their arachnid blood called hemolymph into their extremities, and that's what outstretches their legs. That's actually why dead spiders are all curled up, because they don't have hydraulic pressure pushing their legs out. Their process for creating a necrobiotic spider gripper was relatively simple. Step 1, euthanize a spider. Step 2, insert a hypodermic needle right into the prosoma of the spider and seal it with glue. Step 3, let the glue cure, and that's it. You now have your very own necrobiotic spider gripper. After developing the concept, it was time to test its capabilities with a universal testing machine. And they found that wolf spider gripper bodies are able to lift up to 130% of their own body weight. And individual dead spiders were able to remain effective for about 1,000 closing and opening cycles. But at that point, cracks started to appear in the joints. They were able to successfully turn off a light with their dead spider gripping tool. And they found they could use one dead spider to pick up another, larger dead spider. And they could pick up an object of great volume like this foam here. And finally, they were able to use a simple untethered version to move an object from point A to point B. But spider corpse tools degrade quickly and only remain effective for a couple days at a time. They found that coating the arachnid in beeswax extended its lifetime up to a week. And the team was awarded the 2023 Ig Nobel Mechanical Engineering Award for their gripping work in necrobiology.
Are house parties making a
Very interesting. I mean, I've never thought that I would see this. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's impressive, but you know, it's also a needle with glue, right? So it's like it's nothing crazy. But are y'all ready for them to use this technology on humans? Yo, that's scary. Imagine they're using dead bodies to start doing, I don't know. I find that one a bit questionable. What do you guys think about this technology? You guys see any applications? You guys think that there's a future for this? Or it's just super creepy? Let me know, and let's keep on rocking. We're almost there.
Back. What you are seeing is footage of an insane Halloween party that got way out of hand and had to be shut down by police. Now, this happened in Woodland Hills, LA, and according to Royal News, who captured this footage, the host initially promoted this party online, selling tickets in advance for just $35, but then charged up to $150 for whoever wanted to pay at the door. But, similar to the real Project X, way more people turned up than anticipated, and things quickly started getting out of control. Dozens of 911 calls started flooding in, reporting injuries from stampedes. A massive fight broke out, people were spilling out into the streets, and the LAPD's air support unit estimated over 3,000 people in that neighborhood alone. When police turned up, one teenager was discovered lying unconscious in the street and was rushed to hospital. Several others were treated for injuries that they sustained in the stampede. And you'd think that most people would condemn this kind of behavior. But 2025's been so rough that people were actually proud, saying things like the earth was healing because the kids are partying again, and that there was still hope for the next generation after all.
Nah, are they working together?
Yes, they are. And according to researchers, that is the most dominant partnership in the entire animal kingdom. Let me explain. In North America, badgers and coyotes started hunting together, and it's so unfair. Basically, badgers are incredible diggers, and they're known for digging right into an animal's burrow. The only problem is if that animal takes off running, badgers are slow. They're not going to catch it. Coyotes, on the other hand, can run like the wind, and they're known for chasing animals down in an open field. Their only problem is they can't dig, so if an animal jumps into its burrow, they lose it. You get where I'm going here? When these two work together, they create what's called the ping pong effect. The badger will dig into a burrow and intentionally get the animal to run, and then the coyote will chase it down. If that animal jumps back into another burrow, the badger gets back to digging. And they'll do this over and over again on repeat until that animal becomes so exhausted that it just gives up. In fact, according to researchers, when these two work together, they have a near perfect hunting success rate. Now that is what I call a killer friendship. Literally. And as always, follow for more facts.
Nature is amazing. I mean, I don't know what you are, if you feel like you're a coyote or if you feel like you're a badger. But those are one of the, some of the most intense and notorious hunters. So they could easily see themselves as competition. But in life, whether you're the badger or the coyote and how good you are, doesn't matter. You should try to find that piece of the puzzle that's missing and create something together. And whether it's relationship wise or whether it's business wise or creative wise, I just think that when we unite and like this duo, one's weakness is the other one's strength, we complete each other. And I feel like we have access to, the sky is the limit. Anyways, I don't know how you feel about that, but we reached the end. Thank you so much for being here. And that's a wrap for today, familia. So whether you're tuning in with the sunrise or you're posted up after midnight, I appreciate your time, your energy, your curiosity. And don't forget, this isn't about truth or fiction. This is about perspective. If this sparked a thought, a laugh, a deeper question, then we did our job. So drop your thoughts in the comments, keep the convo alive, like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell if you're riding a wave, because we're just getting started. Until next time, stay grounded, stay weird, stay critical. I'm Adam Strain, and this has been Adam Strain Reacts. Peace! Now's the time for us to link up. Really think we on the brink up. Making a change from living this strange.